Hello, technology. Don't fail on me right now. That's a fun start. Well, but no matter what's going on, no matter how upset I am, no matter what struggles I'm going through, I shouldn't cry. You know why? Because apparently men don't cry. Because apparently, since you're a little boy, you've been told don't cry like a girl, don't scream like a girl, men don't cry, boys don't cry, don't be a girl. And somehow, probably, I don't know why, but being a girl is something wrong. Why crying like a girl is something less than? Why is, why do we always, number one, say something like a girl or something like a woman as if it's something less than being a human? And why is it that men can't cry? Why is it that boys don't cry? That's because toxic masculinity is everywhere. We've been given the fruit and the medicine of toxic masculinity from the very beginning, from the day we are born. Let's talk about um, gender reveals, the blues and the pinks. And, as much as, yes, people don't care whether it's a boy or a girl, but we've already been assigned the colors. We've already been assigned the toys. We've already been assigned the nurseries and the rooms and everything according to whether I will be a male or a female. And then, even before I'm born, I lose my right to cry because men don't cry. And that's what we're going to talk about today. With me, I have a great friend. Um, Brian Wall is, perfect example of everything that this society doesn't want men to do. He is caring, sensitive, understands men's mental health, understands that men can cry, understands that men can be vulnerable. So let's dive right into it. Hey Brian, how you going?
I'm good. How are you?
Well, I can't cry, so I'm okay.
Stuff it, right? Stuff it. And by the way, journals don't work, so don't bother with doing that either, right?
Absolutely. That's a girly thing. That's not a man thing, right?
Yeah.
So, and that's it. But before we start, Brian, people who are watching you for the first time, if you don't mind telling them a little bit about yourself, who you are, what you do, and do you cry?
Yeah, so Brian Wall, I'm a licensed mental health counselor, also certified advanced alcohol and drug counselor, as well as a master certified addiction professional, qualified supervisor as well here in South Florida, and currently a clinical director at the Detox Center 2 at Boca. It's a local treatment center here that provides detox and residential treatment for folks seeking substance use disorder treatment, and been doing this for gosh over 20 years across 4 countries. Also do some private practice stuff, and picked up a couple things along the way that have been helpful for me, and some things that have not been so fun to discover. A lot of hurt and pain that I hear. It's tough.
Well, that's an unusual thing for a man to say. A lot of
Yeah.
pain and all that, and that's the problem. I think, as I was saying in my opening, the toxic masculinity begins at even before we are born. As soon
Hmm.
as the gender is revealed, everything begins. It's not a bad thing to, okay, celebrate that you have a boy or a girl, but defining everything based on what your gender probably is changes everything. Let's first of all talk about men don't cry or boys don't cry. As you're maybe a 3 or a 4 year old child and you fall and you cry, or somebody's teasing you and you cry. And the first
Hmm.
thing that a boy is told is, don't cry like a girl.
Hmm.
What do you think about that? As I was saying, like, is it wrong to cry
Mhm.
like a girl, or do girls cry, or you know, shouldn't girls cry? What's that all about?
Yeah, I think it's obnoxious. That's my true thought. I've got two girls, and and I guess girls cry, so I don't have to worry about it. I don't even know. That's not on my radar at all. I think it's a natural thing that we do as humans. It's how do you stop something that you're wired to do? In fact, it's we know by research and by evidence of our own living that stuffing and not feeling doesn't work. It's bad, right? We know that. If we
Right.
cry, you're actually releasing toxins. It's a natural process for the body to go through that is very, very healthy. I was telling my wife, she was asking me, I told her a lot about you, and she's like, "Yeah, you're excited to see this Sebastian and I." It's like, "Yeah, I really am. I enjoy hanging out with him." And she said, "Are you nervous at all?" And I said, "No, I'm always really comfortable around him. He just kind of, a good friend, right? So no big deal there." But I told her one reason I feel pretty good about just doing this, and it's not like I'm nervous about the information or anything. Sometimes my energy levels aren't where they need to be, and so that doesn't feel right, and I feel like I'm kind of chasing myself a little bit, and that's not fun. And so last night I got a good night's rest, and I told her after watching The Shack, the movie. I read the book, but I hadn't seen the movie, and I literally
Right.
bawled for 2 hours. I'm not kidding you. I cried for two straight hours, Sebastian, and I think my body
Absolutely.
went through a full detox, and I got a great night's sleep, and I felt great today. So this couldn't have been scheduled on a better day.
Absolutely. Look, at the end of the day, we're all human beings and we are social animals, and we all have emotions, we all have sentiments.
Yeah,
And, as they say, a good cry can heal a lot of things. A good
yeah.
cry can really help a person. And, one thing I love that you just said, that you're father of two girls. So
Hmm.
how do you tell a girl you can't raise your child by saying, oh, you are less than a man, or the way you cry is not the right thing. If they have a male a kid coming in, a friend there, and he's crying, are you going to say don't cry like a girl? Then are you telling your own girls that you are not good enough? you know
No.
and, and that's that gender bias starts. There's too many problems in that. Number one, there is misogyny in there. Then you're telling a boy as well that it's not okay to be emotional, it's not okay to feel bad, or it's not okay to feel hurt. um where do you think the whole misogyny sort of plays a role in this? Why is it for a child, for a as we grow up as well, because we've been hearing men don't cry, boys don't cry, we don't talk about anything that we are going through?
Mhm.
There's so much that goes on. It's not that only certain gender goes through challenges, it's not that only women go through challenges. Everybody goes through challenges, but men don't express themselves, right?
Mhm. Yeah, I think it's really interesting, like societal expectations and traditional gender roles and that kind of thing. I'm not real active in the LGBTQ plus community or anything like that, but I'm certainly a supporter of folks finding themselves and determining where they fit. And I love what you just said. We're not um, we're, it, essentially we're not male or female. We're human, right? So we're people first, and we're just these souls wandering around trying our best to find out who am I and where do I fit in this big puzzle we call Earth, and how can I serve my fellow man the best way I can. And that's what life's about. It's about pursuing that journey and kind of sorting all that stuff out. And so, no, I don't press any of those things on my girls. It's largely about whatever they're into, and uh, I try to empower them, and I really do truly believe that whatever they put their mind to, they can accomplish. And my oldest is into big combat boot kind of stuff right now, and I'm like, okay, whatever.
Right.
They look good on you. Go for it.
And we're seeing this every day. We're seeing this every day. There's nothing that one gender can do and the other gender cannot do. And thank you for actually acknowledging LGBT community as well, because that's another thing. Today we live in a world that humanity is realizing more and more there's so much more to gender spectrum, there's so
Hmm.
much more to gender identity. I am non-binary myself. I do not identify myself as a male or a female. I do not believe in that binary. So
Hmm.
for as far as I'm concerned, I'm they them theirs, and I do not belong. I am not a male. It's
Hmm.
that simple. So what rights do I have? Should I cry? Should I not cry? Where do I belong? In you I love what you said about that. Your daughter is doing things that were ideally talking about patriarchy, men's sports, men's things. And that's the thing, we have been given this mindset, this is a man thing, this is a woman thing, right? But it does have a long-term impact on our brain, it does have a
Hmm.
long-term impact on who we become. Now, you have been working with men, and you have been working with addiction recovery, you've been working with men's mental health. What kind of situations do you see men walking into you and talk about, um, and do you think that they find it easier talking to you over a woman, or does that make a difference or not? Do they open up better with you?
Yeah, that's a good question. I've always wondered that. I think that in a treatment center type setting, I always try to meet folks where they're at. If they feel like they would like to have a female therapist, I try to make sure that happens, or a male therapist, or whatever the case may be. But with me and the clients that I see male and female alike, and gay, straight, but across the spectrum, everything. And I've never had a problem with it. So I don't, I feel like almost me saying it's me, and I'm just really great at connecting with people. I feel like that's kind of an ego thing. So I don't know if it's that. I don't really know. I do try to genuinely meet people where they're at, and and walk them through what it's like to just be them, and help them kind of journey to discover what that is. But um, I run across a lot of people, Sebastian, that even right now I can think of a number of private clients that I have that are stuck in this. I mean, living life so stressed out and so anxious about, like, I'm a male, I'm 34 years old, and I'm not married yet. And the church, or my community, or my family, or whatever it is, says that I got to get married. And so I'm really
Right.
rushed to get married. And what does this mean? And I don't have a girlfriend, and I'm 20. And does that mean I'm gay, or does that mean, what is, and it's just like really interesting to listen to them kind of sort through all these struggles. And some of it's, I don't mean to downplay it, but it's kind of trivial. It's like, I understand that's
It
part of the
is.
journey to find yourself, but it's like, who cares, man? Just be you. Like, what's your true
Exactly. I
heart?
think that's what it is. Again, masculinity is being defined by whether you're married or not, whether
Yeah.
you have. This is very common. How early on, we're barely teenagers when we start getting teased for not having a girlfriend or not having a partner. These days, again, still, if you don't have a girlfriend, that's the first thing that's said. Oh, you must be gay,
Hmm.
as if being gay is something wrong,
Right.
right?
Right.
It's used as an insult, as something you're less than other people. And that's where the example you're coming from comes, that a person starts stressing about, like, oh, people are going to judge me because
Yeah.
I don't have a girlfriend, I don't have a
Right.
partner, I'm not married, or I don't have kids. It's sad that it is related to masculine. If you don't have a child, oh, must be impotent,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
sexuality, your personal life is defined by what people are thinking about you rather than who you are. And as you just said, at the end of the day, they're all human beings.
Hmm. Hmm.
If I'm
Yeah.
coming to you, if I'm coming to my therapist, and if I'm sharing my pain, or if I'm sharing my struggle, that's because I need help as a
Absolutely.
human, not as a male or a female.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
I'm lost,
I
and I'm hurting. I'm confused. Yeah. We got to be there to
absolutely.
support them,
Let's.
love on them.
I'm going to take a couple of comments.
Okay.
Pamela Hartnell says, "Great topic." Now, I know this Facebook user is Janine Rivers because I just saw who it is. She says, "Love, woot woot," and Pamela says, "I believe vulnerability is a strength, not a weakness." That's it.
Amen.
That is what we are not taught. We are shown and taught over and again being vulnerable means being weak.
Mm-hmm.
They're not the same. They're two different realities. You can be very strong and vulnerable. I
Mm-hmm.
was in fact posting, I was commenting on something earlier today. Somebody said, a leader cannot show weakness. A leader should not show their tone of voice, their expression should not show that they're struggling. And I went and commented and said, well, no, that's not true. I tell my team that I have depression, I have
Mm-hmm.
PTSD. I struggle with mental health, I struggle with anxiety. And
Mm-hmm.
I said, the advantage of that is the true leadership is number one, I'm honest to them. Number two, I'm able to walk up to them and say, hey, I'm depressed right now. I
Yeah.
can't function. And they can operate without me because they know it's a hard day for me. And
Yeah.
same way, the biggest thing that does for me is now my team feels comfortable coming up to me and saying they're having a bad day.
Yes. Yes. And that's the
Right?
thing. It's not about male or female roles. It's about the fact that you're just being human. I'm not showing them that I'm a male and I said what I said and that's in reflection of me weak. No, I'm trying to connect with my team as a human. I'm letting them know, hey, I'm human. And when you go home at night and you have a hard time sleeping and you get up in the morning with 3 hours of sleep and have to come in and take care of other people's lives, I do too. I understand that. I know what that's like. I've been there,
Exactly.
right? And I can support you in that. We play together. A unit's always going to be more powerful than an individual. So pull together as a
Exactly.
team, a community, a
Exactly.
network, support each other.
Exactly. And it begins at home.
Yes.
If you're a unit at home, if you're a team at home, that's as a child, as grown-ups, as adults, as husband wife or husband wife wife, I don't care.
Yeah.
But as a family, as siblings and all that, when you're together, you can fight anything, and it doesn't matter. When a brother and a sister are helping each other in something, they're not saying because your gender is this, that's why I'm helping you.
Hmm.
They're helping because it's my sibling. It's somebody I
Yeah.
grew up with. It's somebody who shares same parents with me. Again, I'm thinking this is Janine. She says love. Uh, Pamela has a great question. How do you think toxic masculinity affects men and women differently? Well, that's really true. Toxic masculinity, it's affecting men and it's
Yeah.
affecting women.
Yeah.
But I'll actually get into that question in a second. Let's first take this comment. Roxana Redoluska says, super interesting conversation. Funny, I'm building a course on leading with kindness and surprise. Looks like we associate kind leadership mostly with women. That's so true. Kind
Hmm.
leadership is, women are kind, men probably are not, is what we are sort of, the assumption is there. As a
Hmm.
consequence, this means that kind leadership is not as effective as a more aggressive one. And then you have leaders like Sir Richard Branson totally dismissing the idea that you can't both be a kind and a successful leader. That's a great example. So, let's jump into toxic masculinity. How does it affect men and women?
Yeah.
Of course, we
Yeah.
know men, they don't express themselves.
Hmm.
They Well, that's the biggest thing. Tell me before you, or I don't know, I only know you from last couple of years, but before you became who you are today, did you have a phase in your life where you wouldn't talk about your problems and you wouldn't share only because men don't do that?
Yeah, I think so. Absolutely. I think when I was younger and trying to find myself and you have things happen to you and you feel certain things at a certain age and you just wonder like, is this okay? Is this normal? Should I feel this? I don't know. So you kind of like you're wading yourself through this fog trying to figure out what's up and what's down and what fits and what doesn't. And I think one of the biggest blessings I've had in my life is pursuing a career in the mental health and addiction field because there are things that I struggle with personally, on many levels regularly. So being able to be trained in that on a graduate level and have all the experience in the licensing and all the stuff that I have has been a huge resource for me to cope with a lot of the stuff I have. I'm just as screwed up as the next guy. And, you just a quick story, if you don't mind, Sebastian,
Absolutely.
you've been wonderful. I've been going through some personal stuff, and you've been a huge support of mine, and I can't say thank you enough. You've always reached out in the middle of the night. I'll wake up, can't sleep, stuff running through my head, and I'll see a message in my LinkedIn account from Szebastian, and it's meant so much. I can't even put into words. So for that, I thank you. But that personal stuff that was going on with me was it hit home. It was related to professional life as well, and it was very scary for me. I was very overwhelmed. I was very stressed. I was depressed. I felt less than a man. I was losing my identity as a professional and what I do, and I was questioning. Am I good at what I do? Am I effective?
Right.
And all that stuff was hitting home, and I just felt like I was taking punch after punch, and I was scared, man. And I had not had a place in my life and sometimes that I seriously considered suicide. And I have in the last couple of months, because of all that was going on with me. I was in that place that I felt like I had to hold it together as the dad, the husband, the boss, the clinical director, whatever it is. And I didn't have it. I was slipping. I was literally hanging from a fingernail. And so I got to a place where I had to, on social media, I had to cut off a lot of people that are very, very close to me that I absolutely adore and I love more than I can put into words, because they've been wonderful for me, a big support in my life in a lot of ways. But it was just getting to the point where conversation and interactions were kind of toxic, and it was leading to more anxiety and depression, and it was starting to affect everything. It was leading me to a very, very dark place. And I made the decision to draw a line in the sand, to build that boundary and say, I cannot take enough. I need a break. I've got to detox from all this. And I did that. And I expressed, a number of those folks reached out and asked, what was going on. And I shared with them, like, my mental health is crap. I feel horrible. And I explained all the stuff that I just shared with you guys, and ghosted. Nothing. Like, no
Right.
response,
Absolutely.
I can't tell you
Yep.
how much that broke my heart. Like, the closest people
Absolutely.
to me that I felt were my tribe, and or in my tribe, and
Yep.
I was so honest with them about, like, I'm scared and this is where I'm at and it's a dark place and I've got to pull back, and just ghosted. Um, it absolutely broke my heart. And I can't tell you how often I run across that with clients that express the same stuff. And that's what's so scary, because we talk about expressing this stuff and then they do it and people don't meet them where they're at, and it just snowballs and we lose lives over it. And it ain't funny. It's not cool. And it's not
Absolutely.
working. It's not okay. That's why I agreed to do this, because it's something that hits home for me. And I deal with clients every day that are struggling to get up in the morning and put on their clothes and do the same crap over and over again that they're not invested in. I know what that feels like, and it's scary and it's horrible. And if I had not had you and my wife, who is a freaking warrior to be reckoned with, this woman, if I had not
Yeah.
had you guys to pull me together, and to encourage me and speak truth into my life, I don't know if even I would have agreed to reconnect you on the level that we have, and do this podcast and everything. So just grateful for the supports that I have that are real and that didn't quit on me, that didn't ghost me, didn't pull back. They just stuck it out with me. And that's real people. That's what you need in your life.
Absolutely. There is so much I can say to everything you
I
just shared.
know.
You and I have a history, and there's so much we've shared. There's so much we have literally witnessed each other's challenges in a way, and I think that's where the difference is. We've treated each other as human beings, not
Yeah.
male or female or non-binary or anything. We've treated each other as human beings and friends. Really, you walked into my life from nowhere. I literally just saw a broadcast and contacted you, and that's how we connected. Before we go into that, and I want to say a lot about that, I just
I
want to
know.
quickly once again acknowledge Roxana, because Roxana, that's actually really really a great point. It's constantly going in my mind. That kind leadership is somehow only associated with women, and aggressive one kind of is like, oh, aggressive is like a man's thing, and kind is women's thing. uh, I'd love to know more about what you're doing with that course. Yeah, just let us know a little bit more, because we're curious, and how that can help everybody, because it is an important thing. I want to read a couple of other comments before I actually comment back on what
Let's
you
do it.
just shared. Leandro
Leandra.
Campbell says, having worked in the substance abuse and mental health treatment field, I've noticed that it seems there's more men at inpatient treatment centers.
Mm,
I believe this may be because men wait a lot longer to accept help or decide the need to get help, and thus they have a lot more to unpack once they start treatment. I think women are encouraged to and are more likely to accept help or decide to get help a lot sooner before it gets to the point of possibly needing more intensive treatment. That is so true.
yes, that's evidence
You know,
based. Leandra, I've actually worked with Leandra before. Phenomenal therapist, by the way. If anybody needs a therapist out there, um, but it's true. Men are far less likely to pursue seeking treatment than women. Women attempt suicide more often than men. Men are 3.5 times more likely to die from suicide. A lot of times because it's a more lethal, attempts. But uh, I think it's like 1 in 3 men have actually been on medication for depression and anxiety. So a large majority report the same symptoms, but don't pursue any actual relief, whether it be medication or treatment or otherwise.
absolutely. And I think that goes back to the same thing because, as a man, we've been told so much to not share. It's sign of weakness. That's not how men operate. And,
Hmm.
if you're being emotional, if you're being vulnerable, that's you're being a weakling.
Yeah.
And because that's so hard drilled into our brains, that social construct is pretty much embedded into our entire life, that
Hmm.
we don't share how we feel. And so I want to go back to what you were sharing before I take more comments.
Yeah.
Is number one, I thank you equally because you walked into my life and stayed in my life at a point when I was feeling, I was literally crashing because of what was going on around me in my life. And as you said, same thing. I wanted to express myself, but I was too scared because if I
Yes.
express myself, I'm showing my weakness.
Hmm.
And, you know, whatever was happening, I'm not going to go into that.
Right.
But when everybody else was walking away, you stayed. You was like, well, I'm going to treat you on one-on-one basis. I don't care what anybody else has to say. If you do wrong with me, then I'll decide to walk away. But
Absolutely.
otherwise, I have no reason to judge you. And that's one thing that's missing in society right now. We depend a lot on hearsay. We depend a lot on social construct. We depend a lot on um, what a man should do or a woman should do or shouldn't do. And that really, we don't express because we are so ashamed and so scared of being judged. How will people perceive me? The biggest
Hmm.
thing that is, done is because you will look weak, because you
Hmm.
will look not strong enough.
Yeah.
But isn't the strength in being vulnerable and transparent about what you're going through? Because I think that is the strongest thing to do, to actually go ahead and say, I'm failing,
Hmm.
I'm struggling, I don't know what to do. It's not an easy thing to do, right?
Yeah. It's not easy, but it's like I always tell my girls it's hard to it's hard to what do I say? It's about a dog and barking. I've said it before. Sorry, but it's like it's hard to fight with a dog that doesn't bark, right? And so if you don't bite back, oftentimes folks are less likely to come after you because it's like, well, this is no fun. There's nothing there, right? So if I do something wrong and I say, hey, Sebastian, the other day I did XYZ and that was wrong. And I just want to let you know I own up to it and I apologize and I shouldn't have done that. And I don't, I want to make sure I treat you better. You would probably not cut me off as a friend. You'd be like, wow, what a guy. Like to be able to come to me and
Absolutely.
humbly tell me he screwed up. Like there's a lot of power in that. So you're submissive in a way to me to meet me where I'm at. And so that leaves me with a lot of power in the friendship because I'm not losing a great support all because I
Right.
was human and I made a mistake. but I owned up to it. And that's what it's all about. It's about communication and bringing awareness and letting, even I was thinking about this today. Isn't it interesting that when you see a lot of, our vice president in the United States, female, and CEOs, females, in certain companies and stuff, what do they wear? Suit pants, right? So they're even dressing like males. It's like, and
Right.
I personally don't care, but it is interesting that we've even evolved to that direction where men or women, if you want to be in the CEO role, that's fine, but you need to dress as if you look like a man, right?
I
I
love
think that's
that
so
because
interesting.
that's a patriarchy mindset. To look powerful, power dressing is a male's outfit,
Right.
And this is where, for one thing, I do feel proud about my community, LGBT community, the
Mm-hmm.
non-binary, the androgyny, and everything. More and more people are coming out that are defying the dressing, that are defying the standards for how men should dress and how women should dress, and they're making it about what I want to dress like, not what my gender should dress like, and
Right.
that's a great point you make, because that is true. Power is still associated with being male.
Yeah.
Strength is still associated with being masculine.
Mm-hmm.
In it, it's the same thing. Unless you act like a man, you're not strong enough. We are still sending out this
Yeah.
exact same message that we shouldn't be, right?
And
I want to take a couple of
yeah, go ahead.
comments here. Janine's reverse says, I believe they did not know how to respond because it was an awkward feeling for them. That's it.
Yeah.
We have been told, look, if I am told every day, it's weak to cry, men shouldn't cry, boys shouldn't cry, you know and again, as you said, what are you, gay?
Mm-hmm.
Don't be gay. Gay is used as a slur. Don't be gay. Oh, that's
Right.
gay. Now that person, male or not, or I don't know, they might grow up to be non-binary, or they might realize they're trans person. The point is, they've already been told from early childhood that that's gay, or that's womanly, or that's girly, as if that's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
It has been used as a synonym for wrong action, for a
Mm-hmm.
bad action, for a weak action, and
Yeah.
that's not okay, right?
Mm-hmm.
In well, I that's actually, men are less likely to seek help for mental health issues when compared to women, and we really need to change the way we think about masculinity.
Amen.
I don't think the full comment came through. What do you think are some? Oh, there you go. What do you think are some ways to break down the barriers of toxic masculinity collectively? Well, that's a good question. So, what can we do to really break down those barriers?
Yeah, I think almost everything starts on your corner, right? So you'll be the change you want to see in the world. I mean, it's a Gandhi thing to me,
Absolutely.
like we're doing it right now. You and I are sitting here and we're just loving on each other because we like each other, we love each other, we care about each other, and yeah, it's a podcast and all that, but I really enjoy being around you. So this is a win-win for me. I don't even, even if you were paying me, I wouldn't care, right? So it's like I'll
Right.
do it for free. I enjoy being around you. You're part of my family, so.
Yeah.
It's about bringing awareness. It's about having conversations. It's about learning how to take care of yourself and where your resources are to make sure the balance remains in your life. Building those boundaries, as I said, and making sure that you've got people in your tribe that you trust. And understanding that constantly filtering out those folks. That's part of life. You're going to run across folks that you thought were what you thought they were one thing and they're not, and it's just a constant filtering process to make sure you're getting the support that you need. And so and that whole story that I told you what I was going through, and I had to cut some folks off, like that's kind of been my thing. I had to, I don't think these are bad people. I adore them. I just think right now I've got to keep myself healthy, and I've got to put some boundaries up, and I'll reconnect with them. They're good souls, and I can't blame. We all make decisions off of how we've trained ourselves. It's almost learned behavior. So I can't hate them for what they're doing. They've grown up to a certain extent, feeling like this is the right response in this situation. And so I can't hate them for it. I just have to let them know that doesn't work for me.
Absolutely. And we need to actually one day have an entire conversation on boundaries and disconnect to
Yes.
reconnect and all that. There's so much we can talk about that because you and I share that. That is the common factor we have. I had to make that decision to walk away from a lot of people. It's not personal about them, but it is about how it was affecting me. And I
Yeah.
know, Roxana, you're going to say it's all personal. We'll come to that. It's a totally different situation,
Right.
but it is a reality. Sometimes you need to draw that line to one thing you just said right now, and I want to acknowledge that you said you love me, and that's the thing. We love each other, but
Yeah.
that's also not masculine in the standard world, right? Or if two men say that, it's gonna be in a certain say, "Oh, I love you, man," and you're gonna
Right.
have a
You got to make
specific
it
body.
sound manly.
Yeah, you've got to make it sound manly. You've got to high five, you've got to fist pump and chest pump and all that.
Yeah.
Can't hug each other because that's gay or that's
Hmm.
girly, and that's where toxic masculinity
Yeah.
is so deeply
Yeah.
tattooed into ourselves that we watch our body language, we watch our tone of voice, we
Hmm.
watch how do we say that. Why can't two guys, one gay, one straight, both gay, why
Yeah.
can't they just say, hey, I love you for being, without defining a relationship, without defining a title to
Yeah.
justify, oh, this is just masculine love, there's nothing more to it. Why do we have to justify that?
Well, and it's interesting because if you have two males, all right, they're both gay. I don't think I've ever seen a gay male couple in the United States and didn't think, I bet they're making some good money, right? Because males make more money than females in the United States. And so it
Right.
doesn't matter that they're gay, they're two males together, and I bet they're really banking. Good for them. On top of
Absolutely.
that, isn't it interesting? We were talking about humans. It's not male, female, it's humans. When you're a baby, babies cry to communicate to the mother that they're hungry, they're wet, they're hurt, whatever the case may be. When babies grow up, they say to their mommies and their daddies, I love you. Male, female alike, doesn't matter, right? All that's acceptable. It's acceptable to cry. It's the same now. It's never changed. Saying I love
Right.
you, embracing someone, crying, it's all a way to communicate some kind of feeling that you're having. And it's important us for others that are in your support network to receive that and respond accordingly as a support, because that's your role to this person, not a judgment role. That doesn't make any sense to me. It didn't start that way at birth. Why is it evolved into this other thing? It's confusing to me. It really
Exactly.
is.
But here's the thing: the toxic masculinity and the toxic mindset begins from telling a child, as a child, as you said, whether it's a girl or a boy, they all say love you and everything. Then, as they grow, we teach them, don't say that. Girls don't sit like that. Oh,
Right.
close your legs. Or boys don't sit with crossed legs and all that.
Right.
Body language, words, actions, everything we are told how a man or a woman should behave. And that's where I think, as everybody else was here saying, we stop sharing
Yeah.
how we feel, we stop being ourselves because we're constantly thinking, oh, but I've been told that's not the right thing to do.
Hmm.
So my mindset, my actions are being framed by somebody else telling me what's right for me, and I'm losing my personality as I grow. And that's it. When you're children, everything you do is cute. As you start growing, you start getting told, "Oh, you're this much. This is your age now. You shouldn't do this. You shouldn't
Hmm.
do that." The age is used as an excuse, the gender is used as an excuse, and yeah, it just goes on. I want to take more comments. I love
Yeah.
these comments.
Yeah.
Roxana says, thanks, Sebastian. The course is a work in progress and will be online on my platform in the fall. We'll surely let you know then. Anyone who would like to share what kind leadership means to them, I'd be super grateful if you could share with me. I'll coach you in the course if you're okay with that. Absolutely, Roxana. Always happy to network, always happy to support each
Yeah.
other. I want to go back to you and I reaching a point. I reached out to you. You said something is wrong. And here's the thing, I sensed it because you were not posting and you were not as interactive on social media
Yeah.
as you used to be. And that's another thing that's missing. We don't check in on each other in today's day and age, and especially men. We don't check in on each other. Oh, he must be doing his own thing. We
Yeah.
don't check in on each other. We don't, one of the things you just said, people ghost you. That's very common these days. And it's,
Hmm.
again, I'm going to say this, everything negative that we do, we don't care about gender then, because when we are
Yeah.
ghosting, we ghost our dates, we ghost our friends, we ghost our partners, we ghost our grandparents or parents, because every time we don't want to deal with something difficult, we ghost them,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
if we don't care about gender then why do we care about gender otherwise,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Uh,
And
yeah, go on.
thanks for the shout out, Brian. You bet, Leandra. She is a solid human, man. I'm gonna tell you that woman she's the real thing. Yeah, and I wanted to add before I forget that was really what I was after, man. I wasn't after anybody really when I was feeling the way I was feeling, all that was going on. I didn't really want anybody to come to my rescue. I've got my wife. She's my rock when I need it. I'm her rock when she needs it. We're a great balance. I adore her. She's a warrior. I'm good, right? It's great to have a full network, though. So when you have a network, or you feel like you do, you hope those folks reach out to you on some level when you're not feeling well, or things aren't going well, or whatever the case may be. And I had a couple reach out to me, and it was more like, "Why did you cut me off on social media?" Blah blah blah. And I thought, how trivial and elementary. Like, who cares? Seriously? Like, I'm going through this really horrible time to the point where I'm thinking about killing myself. Like, very dark time, and that's your concern. And I had a very close family member reach out to me, and he's someone I've begun to grow closer to over the last year. And he didn't say that. He said, "Hey B, what's up, man? Like, how are you
Right.
doing? Like, what's going on?" Like, he had a conversation with me, and it was about relationship. He didn't judge me. He didn't agree with everything that I chose to do to keep myself healthy, and that's fine because he expressed that. But he told me, "I got your back, man. I love you, and I want you feeling better." And it was a real conversation, and I felt so filled after that phone call, knowing that I had someone close to me that just wanted to be a support to me. And that's really what it's about, like, just loving on each other.
And that's what really it is, just checking on each other,
Yeah.
just literally saying, are you okay? That's all a person needs to open up, just somebody genuinely asking. It become a trend, are you okay? And then as you said, when you share, it's like, oh, whoa, that's too much, okay, I'm gonna walk
Yeah.
away from this. The thing is, it doesn't really, you and I are a good example of that. We haven't done anything for each other except listening to each other,
Yeah.
except being there, like, okay, if you want to talk, I'm here. You
Yeah.
told me that when I was struggling, I told you that when you were struggling. Literally just offering another person compassion and just offering a shoulder to cry
Yeah.
on, and nothing more. No exchange of
That's
any
it.
resources. No traveling to each other, though I would
Yeah.
love to travel
I would
to
love to
you and
see you
to
one
you.
day.
you know
Absolutely.
but the point is, that's all it takes. That's
Yeah.
all it takes to pull somebody out of darkness,
Yeah.
is just to let them know that there is a support network. And sometimes just letting it out is all a person needs to shift their mindset.
Yeah. And
Just have that cry.
one thing that I love about you, I genuinely do, and I really appreciate it about you. You, I believe in Jesus. I'm straight. You're like literally the opposite of me in a lot of ways, right? And let's just have fun with it. I mean, you believe in you have a different belief system, and in your sexual orientation, and your non-binary, and all that's different, right? And so, and I mentioned that, keep me in your prayers, or something to that extent. But it was a Christian phrase that I used, I believe.
Right.
And you were, I love that you just say what you mean, and you mean what you say. You told me, like, I don't believe, I don't remember exactly how you said it, but it was kind of like, I don't believe in Jesus, or that's not what I follow, or whatever. But hey, know that in my belief system, I got you, and we pray for you every single day. We're sending up good energy, and I can't tell you how incredibly warm that made me feel, man. It's like, wow,
you know
this dude, it's so
I'd
awesome.
love to answer that, because when somebody actually says that, and number one, I don't have a fixed ideology, because there's one thing that I've learned from my parents, is that you're changing every day, and your beliefs are going to change every day. And the minute you say, I don't believe in this, or I don't believe in that, you're stopping yourself from growing. The only way you can grow is to question, to be curious, to ask, why do I feel that way? Why do I have that stance? Why do I stand on something so firmly?
Yeah.
And what I've realized in my life is every time I've said no, that's how I believe, a few years later I realized, oh, I was stupid. I should
It
have
blows up
questioned
in
it.
your face.
Right? Because you just go like, why did I say that? I've learned so much. I remember, this is like 10,000 decades ago, but I remember just saying to somebody in my life, saying, oh, no, in our culture, we don't do that. We would rather die than ask for help. That's it. We'd rather die hungry than ask for help. And I'm the same person a few decades later who says, I would rather you ask me for help, and I would
Yes.
rather reach out to somebody and say, "Hey, I have no food. I'm broke. I
Hmm.
don't have shelter, or I'm failing in my job, or whatever it is." I would rather tell people, because if I'm alive, if I am saved,
Hmm.
I can do so much more from my experience and help so many more
Yeah.
people. And this is not about me, because again, it goes back to that toxicity. We are taught to think from ego, from a
Hmm.
place of arrogance, not from a place of humility, not from a place of understanding. And as it's not cliche, it's reality. Kindness begins with you.
Hmm.
If you
Yeah.
don't wear your oxygen mask, you're not going to save anybody.
Yeah. And
You're
that
going to die yourself, and the other person's going to die too.
yeah, and that ego side is like that's a place of control. You feel like you have tons of control, but it's very limiting, because if I have this
Absolutely.
big, in my mind, for me, if I have this big ego, that's a way of me communicating to others. You know what? I really do know more than you do, and so therefore
Right.
I'm shut off from any input from others to continue to expand my knowledge in any area, and that's limiting.
I
So
love you say that, because
that doesn't make any
that's I
sense.
I can't resist. I have to share this. Uh, Years ago, somebody came in my life, professional connection, and
Hmm.
they taught me how to be really good at certain parts of social media. And one of those things was, if you go to Twitter, you can do certain things, and then you'll be highlighted for being great at social media, at great at media. And then they give you a title, top 100 uh, in leadership, top 100 experts in leadership, top 100 experts in social media, top 100 experts in broadcasting. And I started showing that off everywhere.
Hmm.
But then one day I stopped, because I asked myself, in 7 billion people,
Yeah.
with only, all over my social media, I probably have 200,000 followers or maybe less. But out of 7 billion people, how am I the top 10? At one point, it said top 10 expert in leadership. What do
Right.
I know about leadership? What have I
Right.
achieved in my life to call myself the top 10 experts?
Yeah.
And that's the day I questioned, and I asked myself, what is an expert? I started literally researching the word.
Yeah.
And then I recalled something my father had said. The term guru, just like an
Hmm.
expert. And he used to say, well, there is no guru, because the moment you say, I am the guru, I am the best, I am the topmost in this, you stop being that, because what you're saying is, I don't need to learn anymore.
Oh,
And the
that's
day
good.
you stop learning, you're not an expert anymore. You're not
Yeah.
good at it anymore, because there's somebody else there who's ready to learn more than what you have learned, who's humble enough to say, I don't know everything, who's humble
Hmm.
enough to say, can you please clarify and tell me, what does this mean? Because I don't know. And another example I'll give you that is, if I didn't know a word, English is my only language, but still, I do come from another culture where, even though it was my only language, it is still not the native language.
Hmm.
Um, I would literally refuse that I don't know a word. I would pretend as if I know. I would have the whole conversation. If somebody questions, like, "No, I know what you're saying," I have no idea what they're saying. I had no idea.
Yeah.
When this person came in my life, a friend came in my life who actually taught me the value of saying, I don't know what that means. Can you please explain? I cannot tell you how that changed everything. I
Yeah.
learned so much more.
Yeah.
Every single time now, if somebody, Pamela is watching here right now, she was using the word ruminating. I did not know the word ruminating until just a few months ago. And I literally asked her, you said that, and I don't know what that means. Can you please explain? Until then, it was just like, okay, it's fancy, but I don't know what the heck that means. But
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
again what it is. Toxicity is arrogance, denying that you need to know more, you're, as you were saying, like, there's nobody better than me,
Yeah.
and that doesn't help, right?
Yeah.
And Roxana says, I mean, yeah, it's all personal. Nothing is just business. And drawing boundaries is all about successfully managing our own emotions and relationships with ourselves first. Only then we can build healthy relationship with others. Love your conversation. We need more of these. Absolutely, Roxana. I was actually thinking, and we need to do this, that we need to bring you and Roxana and Pamela all together in a show and have a
I would
conversation.
love that. That'd be
I
so
think
much
it'll be
fun.
so much fun. I'll just sit there and watch and
Right.
have the
Let us just bounce off
conversation.
each other. That'd be great.
Absolutely. But that's it. One thing I do want to acknowledge it before I take more comments as well is, as you were sharing about our relationship, there's one thing: not telling anybody what's going on
Yeah.
and struggling with it becomes so much. It becomes so heavy. But because a male shouldn't be weak, as you were saying, thankfully you have your wife. Thankfully, I have my mother, people who are in our lives who are
Yeah.
really, really understanding. My sister is, same relationship. But all those men out there who don't share because, like, oh, a woman doesn't need to know, or a man doesn't need, but man doesn't cry.
Hmm.
As you were saying, how many people commit suicide because they haven't shared,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
they think it's weak to share, and that is what is toxic masculinity is.
Hmm.
You know.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me take a couple of more comments. Leandra says, I find it interesting that it seems no men are attending this live conversation. Or did I miss seeing that somehow? I love that.
She
Leandra,
calls it out.
love that. You need to tag a few men and tell them, hey, where the heck are you? I absolutely love that. It leads me to think of a larger question. Do you think men or women are more vocal or engaged about masculinity and mental health? That's a big question. Are
Yeah.
women more vocal about mental health issues,
I mean,
and
the
men don't?
research, yeah, the research shows that women are more vocal. Women seek treatment more often than men. Women are more open to medication and formalized treatment, whether that's in a treatment center or, with a private therapist. And that's one reason that, my private practice is through BetterHelp. And I've chosen to go that route because, well, it's more cost effective for me, to be quite frank with you. But then also, I think it's because of this kind of stuff, there's so many people that don't pursue help because it's scary, and I've got to go to the office, and I'm not sure I want to meet with a person face to face, that's too much, or whatever it is. And I love that telehealth, that whole concept, that platform offers chat and video and phone conversations with folks that can be there to support, so you can get the help that you need. And I'm making major progress with a number of clients. I literally have never seen their face. I have no idea what they look like. It doesn't matter. They're getting the help that they
You
need.
know what's
And so
what's
that's
you know
why I
what's
pursued it.
the amazing part in that is, you're only dealing with another human, not a male
Yes,
or a female. You're not dealing with
that's so
LGBT or
true.
straight, because of course, you don't start oh, are you straight before I help you? Are
Yeah,
you male before I help you? All
right.
you care about is what help do they need?
Yeah,
What's going on? Really, it's the only question is, okay, what's going on with you? What's up? Tell
exactly.
me, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
I love that. Well, you know what? I love these questions. I love this conversation. I am assigning you the duty of getting Leandra to complete my guest process, and we're bringing her as well, because we're gonna have
She
a
would be
really good
amazing. She
group
would be
conversation.
amazing.
It'll be great.
Yeah, you would love
Leandra,
her.
this is your invite, and Brian is now in charge of getting you on this show.
I'm going to introduce you guys, Leandra. You'll love him, and you'll love them. I'm learning pronouns, and you're helping me with that too. That's funny too. So there's all this different stuff, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate you calling me out on stuff. Like, I would call Szebastian, hey man, brother, or whatever, and he kind of took it for a while, and he finally was like, hey, look, it's they, them, babe. there. He educated me on all that stuff, and it's something that's very real in our society currently, but it's not something I'm honestly very educated on, and it's not something I run across on a regular basis. And I really respect the fact that you called it out, and you've like the last couple of weeks, you've educated me on things. You'll see a post and he'll send it to me and go, actually it's them or their, a comment or whatever. And some people might be like, oh my gosh, but I found it to be very helpful, and I appreciate it. So thanks for educating me.
And I appreciate that as well, Brian, because number one thing is, at the end of the day, what matters most to a human being? Their identity.
Yeah.
If I call you Michael and I look at you in your face and I call you Michael 3 times, you're gonna look at me like,
it's Brian.
You don't even know my name. You don't even remember who I am. That's offensive.
Yeah,
that is, as Roxana says, that is personal. So it's the same thing. If you're denying me my identity, something that is true to me, something that identifies me, something that I relate to, that's not kind. That's not respectful. Why would I want to talk to you if you don't even acknowledge who I am? Right?
So true.
You're Brian, and if I start calling you Bree, it's not about insulting, but it's gonna make you feel like you are not even acknowledging who I am.
Right.
How do you have the right to even talk to me? Right.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that. As much as, yes, I would like everybody to address me with my right pronouns, I don't get upset when they do use the wrong pronouns, but I do appreciate that they make an effort. I do encourage people, and I do insist that, hey, it's not hard. A lot of people say to me, oh, I forget. Oh, I'm still learning. It's okay to be learning. It's okay to be slipping because you're not used to it. I understand that. But at the same time, I always ask this: when there's a little child, when the child is not even named, we just call it a baby, right? We don't say, when you don't know, we just say they had a baby. We don't talk about male or female at that point. We're still able to love and adore that baby just because we know somebody had a baby. We're still able to congratulate them. Do we ask them, oh, before I congratulate you, did you have a boy or a girl? We don't do that. That's rude, right?
Yeah, it's weird.
It's the same thing to me for identity. And, I understand. And this is what I appreciate. The moment I told you, you accepted it. And then you made, not only you made the change, but you also, every time you slip, you fix it. That to me is more powerful and more useful and more respectful than literally ignoring that you made that mistake.
Yeah.
Right. Again, we have lots of comments coming in, so I'm going to take some comments. Roxana says, Leandro Campbell, great observation. Wondering if men are not attending or maybe just not commenting as much. In any case, great question there. I'm actually going to comment on that. I know that lots and lots of men accepted the invite to this event.
Yeah.
Where are you guys? Why are you talking? That's the point. Why are you talking? Right? Leandro says, Roxana, thanks. Could be a scheduling thing too. Another point about men's mental health, as I've heard with some of my male clients, they seem to find overworking as a sort of coping mechanism. Oh my God. Isn't that true?
Yeah, so true.
Isn't that true? Like, that's another thing. Hustle, hustle, hustle and grind. And whenever there's a problem at home, whenever there's a problem at any part of their life, just drown yourself into work.
Right,
just
workhorse.
Somehow it is seen as, again, masculine to not care and keep working.
Right. If you're not providing for your family, you're not a man. Right.
Absolutely. That's one thing you said, and I want to talk about that. If you're not, if you're not looking after your family, you're not man enough. You're a coward. All those pronouns are used towards a person, but isn't a man allowed to be in pain? Isn't a man allowed to have a break? Just walk away from everything and just say, just like, everybody else just can say, you know what, I need a break. I need some space. I need to be by myself, or I need to be with my wife or with my sister or with my friend. I just need to stop. And this is what I did. I walked away from everything. I walked away. I stopped broadcasting. I even walked away from my business because it was all too much.
Yeah. Yeah, I love
right?
that in Europe, you know, like, you have maternity leave and everything, and a lot of organizations in Europe now are doing paternity leave. I think that's ingenious, right? The dad's part of the family too, and the father role is so important in the family system. All the roles are important, but like, you know, if you live in a male female, you know, father wife or father mom kind of setup, like those are important to acknowledge, and it's important to include them in the celebration, include them to support the mother. And so I love that, you know, a lot of European organizations are doing that, and some in the U.S., not many, but I'm hoping it spreads to that. So we start acknowledging the full family system and the support that the mom needs.
Well, I'll tell you what. In case of my organization, I can tell you at Intentional, we have parenting leave. We don't
I
have a
love that.
paternity or
Even
maternity leave.
better.
We
Even
have
better.
parenting leave. We have family leave. We have carers day off. So you could be caring for anybody. It doesn't matter
Wow.
what your gender is or which gender are you caring for, because at the end of the day, it's none of my business.
Yeah.
you know Only thing I need to know is that your child needs care and you need to take a day off. It shouldn't matter to me that you're a male or a female. I shouldn't be asking the question, oh, isn't your wife available? Why is it a default wife's role? And
Right.
I'm going to acknowledge my father again here. Coming from a culture I come from, men don't do certain things. It's women's job to be in the kitchen, to be washing, to be cleaning, and all that. And
Hmm.
my dad and mom did everything together. Literally, it was such a fun, family activity. In those days, we didn't have the automatic washer, so you could just wash the clothes and then you have to dry them yourself manually.
Right.
So we'd stand in a queue. He'd take out the clothes, he'd give it to us. Mom would squeeze dry it, and then I'll go and hang them. It was a teamwork. It took me approximately age of 15 or 16 to realize that that's apparently not man's role. When I started going out to my friends' places and started seeing how their families operate, I was quite surprised to see that man would just sit there and order things and say, "Oh, can you get me a cold beer? Oh, this is
Yeah.
not cold enough. Do that." And a woman is doing everything, and she's sweating and she's tired and she's doing. And I would come back home and say, "Oh, his father is very rude. He's just treating her like a slave." And my dad said, "Well, that's you haven't seen this, but that's very normal in our culture that
Mm.
women do this and men do that." And I was so surprised. I was so shocked because I hadn't seen that system all my life.
Yeah.
So it is really, as you said, as a unit, it begins from home. I only saw partners. You know, they were partners in everything they did, and it had nothing to do with gender role. I did not know gender roles literally until the age of 15, when I
Wow.
started seeing the outer world and realizing, whoa, my friends' families are different than mine. They
Interesting.
are they operate differently, they treat differently.
Yeah.
Okay. I think Pamela is saying yes to that idea where I said all of us should gather in a group.
Yeah.
Um, Absolutely, Deandra, you're very welcome. And remember, you're coming on. You're coming to the show. It's not an option anymore.
Right.
And
It's done.
Leandra, it's I'm assigning you a job, and I don't know why I'm assigning everybody jobs, but I'm assigning you a job. You need to bring men with you on the show.
I
So
tried. It didn't work.
hey, we need to do that. We are here, so I can represent both genders. So there you go. And Roxana says parenting leave. That's brilliant. Such an awesome way to flip the script and make it inclusive and kind to everyone. Parents, baby, society. Absolutely, Roxana. As you said, it's all personal, and I get really, really personal. You know that.
Yeah.
Well, with that, again, Brian, we can talk about this. I don't think we have even scratched the surface of what we want to
No.
talk about, but I
No.
do want to talk about, before we sort of wrap up, how does all of this, the toxic masculinity, that boys don't cry, all of that, how badly do you think that affects men's mental health overall, whether it's in professional life or personal life? And what do you think we can do to change that?
Yeah. You know, I mean, it's a proven. I mean, men commit suicide about 3.5 times more often than women, and all that's led by all this stress that we have in our lives, and the fact that we have no outlet or any reliable, consistent outlet or network that we can express what's on our heart, what's on our mind, and where we hurt, share those wounds so that they can begin to heal. So, I think it's really important to encourage, those, other men in your life to communicate, to be honest, to find that safe person, that safe place, that find your person in your life that you can lean on, and you're one of my people. And so someone that you can speak openly with, and it'll help you kind of filter all that stuff out. Seeking treatment, managing stress, managing diet, managing all the things that influence us in ways that become overwhelming over time. I mean, it goes deeper than that, but that, like you said, that scratches the surface. But it starts on our corner, doing these sorts of things and communicating in a way that we're just bringing awareness and educating, and whether folks agree with us or not, conversations are starting. So this ends, and more conversations come from that. And so that's the whole key. Mission accomplished.
Absolutely. And Leandra, you have given me a great point. So I'm just going to put this there again and again. Where are the men in this audience? Where are you? Come on, talk. Where are you? So I have a question for you, Brian. What mistake have you made that you want others to be aware of and not make in their life, irrespective of gender?
My biggest mistake, I think, and I continue to do it. I'm better at it. I'm better at not doing it now than I used to be, but my self-care, it's just always been horrible. And I'm a very self-destructive human. If things fall apart, I'm the first to go, I turn it all inward, and it just doesn't work. And it's something that's why I share a lot about self-care on my posts and on LinkedIn, because I need to hear it. I'm constantly researching it, and I'm trying my best. I really am putting an honest effort into make sure I'm working out and I'm eating well. And, I'm doing all the things that keep good balance in my life, but I suck at it. I genuinely suck at it. And
what's the best thing you said there is that you need to hear it. And that's true. That's true about me as well. I talk about self-care all the time. I think I actually know for sure lots and lots of people who talk and post and share about self-care a lot are the worst at it.
Yes.
Because even that posting, and I'm going to be really direct here, we do this because we feel guilty, because we are not caring for ourselves.
Yeah, that's true.
That's our justification to ourselves.
It's true.
I'm talking about self-care. I might not be doing it, but at least I'm encouraging others. And I am going to confess that until recently, I wasn't, I was always I had this quote, always self-care is sexy and all that, but I would never do that. I was working 7 days a week. I was working 14 hours a day.
Wow.
And I asked myself, why am I not happy? I have everything. I have everything that a human being needs. And why am I not happy? Why am I always struggling? Why am I always half asleep when I'm doing things? Why am I always so exhausted? It's because I'm not stopping. It's because I am not taking care of myself. Then I realized, and I went back to time, why was I happy back then? The difference was I made sure I was always at the gym at the right time. I made sure after a certain time, nobody from work could call me. I made sure that there were, at least 3 days in my week where 2 hours minimum were just for my friends.
Yeah.
And Sundays used to be just my day. Nobody was welcome to contact me. And that's what I started implementing again. And it has changed how I feel.
Yeah. And Roxana and Pam, or Roxana or Pamela, I believe, said, essentially, if you're not loving on yourself the right way, then how do you expect to love everybody else the right way? You got to love yourself first the right way, meet yourself where you're at, so that you can be there for other people that you love and adore in your tribe.
Absolutely. I need to find who said that. I think that's Roxana.
There it is.
There you
That's
go.
it. So solid.
Absolutely. Now, another question for you, and it's there as well. If you could collaborate with just anyone, dead or alive, who would it be, and why, and what would you collaborate on?
Man, that's a good one. I think Dr. Daniel Amen has really changed my perspective of mental health and addiction and treatment as a whole. He's really driven by brain spec scans, and really the first in our field to look inside the body to diagnose rather than just going off a self-report. And so revolutionizing, if that's a word, our our industry and how we treat, and making sure that what we do is effective, and it zeroes in on exactly the symptoms that need to be treated and how to treat those symptoms. And so you know, if I could meet him and collaborate him on a level to provide his services more widespread, more affordable to people that need them but can't afford them, I think that would be phenomenal, and it would change massively communities and cities and families and organizations. And I mean, it just, the link that it could spread and expand is exponential. I truly believe.
Love that. You know what? After this is done, you need to get this bit out of this video and send it to him right now.
I should do that.
You know, you never know. You never know what can happen, right?
Yeah, it's true.
Unless you try, you never find out.
That's
right.
It.
Okay, now here's a funny question.
Mm-hmm.
If you had $2 billion with you right now, but only had 1 hour to spend, but you could not spend it on you, what would you do with it?
If I had $2 billion, yeah, that's a tough one. If I had $2 billion, I would spend it on me anyway. I'm a big giver, and so that wouldn't be hard. I wouldn't be looking for anything to really put into myself. I would. I don't know specifically what I would do with it. That's a tough question on the spot, I think, but I definitely would be driven to do something with that would build some sort of legacy for centuries to come. You know, something somehow building or contributing to some kind of cause that was going to be around hundreds and thousands of years maybe after I was gone. I think that, and I don't care if it has my name on it, all that. I've never really been driven by stuff like that.
Here's an idea. I'm waiting for that 2 billion to come, and let it come, because you know, universe works in a very strange way.
Yeah.
As soon as it comes, let's actually start a 24/7 channel on just masculinity and mental health.
Yes, that would be, and mental
Just
health in
that,
general.
everywhere in the world.
Like, that would be
It's
amazing.
everywhere in the world.
Yeah.
You know how many lives that will save?
Oh my
God. You know, there's a question that Pamela asked earlier: how does toxic masculinity affect men and women? Here's the thing: men are not sharing how they're feeling, and it comes out in a very aggressive way.
Yeah.
Women don't know what's going on. Then there's abuse, there's violence, there's domestic violence, and all that. You know, as I said, we haven't even scratched the surface. We really need to do another episode just on this topic, right? Well, we are running out of time. We have run out of time 15 minutes ago. So I'm just going to ask you the last question, and I'm going to unfortunately have to let you go. What's your message for humanity?
Love. It's the first thing that comes to mind. Stop judging. Understand we're all human first. We carry our baggage, and most of us don't know how to unpack it the right way. We don't know how to pack it or unpack it, and we all just wish we didn't have the suitcase. But ultimately, we know it's weight that's difficult to carry around, and we'd rather not. And so we spend most of our lives trying to figure out what to do with that. And so just meet people where they're at, and just love them, and understand that it's not personal, man. It's like we all go through stuff, and we're trying our best to figure out what to do with it. And sometimes that comes across good, bad, and ugly. It's just, that's life. It's part of the journey.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. I really, really appreciate your time. And as I said again and again, we haven't even scratched the surface. We've only literally begun. So guys, Brian's going to come back again. And Brian, you can't say no. You're coming back.
You know where to find me.
We'll make time. We'll come back again. We'll do more, because, you know, this topic and so much more we can talk about mental health, about men's health, about overall mental health issues, because there's so much more happening in our world. And just want to acknowledge, Pamela says, thank you for bringing a great subject to the table. Love it. You beautiful humans. I love it. Humans. Amen. That's it. That's what we need. Thank you so much, Brian. I really appreciate your time.
Always a pleasure. Thanks for having me, Sebastian.
No worries. Now, don't go anywhere. I'll send you in the green room, and I'll just wrap up, and I'll be with you in a second. Okay, guys. So, and I will change that, not guys, because I have my own word. Guys is again, masculinity thing. I use the word. I used to use it like 10 years ago. So I just decided, you know what? I'm going to bring it back. Okay, peeperazzo. It's my word. Deal with it. So, peeperazzo, here's the thing. There's so much we spend our time and our energy on pretending, not saying, not sharing, not doing, or doing it in a way that others want us to do or the society wants us to do. Here's what we need to realize: we have one life, and it's really, really short. Look at the whole universe, billions and billions of years. All the creation took so long to get us where we are today. And what do we get? Barely 100 years per person, not even. We don't have enough time to waste. We don't have enough time to keep fighting over things that don't matter. At the end of the day, what matters is the experience. What did we experience in our life? What experience did we give others? And let's make it about kindness. Let's not make it about toxicity. Let's not make it about ego, arrogance, hating each other, telling others how to live, telling others how to behave. Let ourselves be just human beings, just, you know, who we are. No pretense, no boxes to check, no boundaries to, in a good way, no boundaries to live in. Just be your own creative self, be the natural person you are, and take care of yourself and people around you, because kindness begins from within. And I did not do this in the entire episode. So if you're tuning in for the first time and don't know who I am, I'm Szebastian Onne, your get it right, get it done intention strategist, entrepreneur maker, and almost naked CEO. I'm here because I care and because I give a damn. Until next, dream big, make it happen intentionally. I'll see you on the flip side.